Most people know John F. Kennedy as the young president of Camelot, the polished face of a new America, the man frozen in history by tragedy. But what most Americans were never taught is that behind the scenes, Kennedy was involved in a serious and highly sensitive confrontation over one of the most dangerous issues on Earth: nuclear weapons. At the center of that confrontation was Israel. This story starts in the Negev desert, at a place called Dimona. Officially, Israel described it as a peaceful nuclear project, a research facility, something meant for energy and development. But in Washington, there were people who were not fully buying that explanation. American intelligence and key officials were increasingly concerned that Dimona might be something much more serious: the foundation of a nuclear weapons program. That means fear multiplies, suspicion multiplies, the chance of miscalculation multiplies. So when Kennedy looked at Israel's nuclear activity, he was not just looking at Israel, he was looking at the possibility of a future Middle East arms race. And he did not want that on his watch. Now here is where the story gets interesting. Kennedy was not dealing with some open, transparent process. He was dealing with ambiguity, delay, vague assurances, and what appeared to be a carefully managed effort to keep the true nature of Dimona from being fully understood. That raised red flags. Kennedy did not like being managed, especially on something this serious. He wanted clarity, he wanted inspections, he wanted access. He wanted to know, plainly, whether Israel was moving toward the bomb. That is the heart of this story. This was not casual diplomacy. This was not routine back and forth between friendly governments. This was a tense struggle over secrecy and power. Kennedy was trying to force transparency. Israel's leadership was trying to protect its strategic position. And the deeper Kennedy pushed, the more contentious the relationship became. That is important, because people often talk about US-Israel relations as if they have always been simple, automatic, and beyond conflict. But under JFK, that was not the case. Kennedy's position was more complicated. He was not looking to destroy Israel. He was not looking for some dramatic public showdown. But he was trying to prevent a situation where a close ally developed a nuclear weapons capability behind a wall of ambiguity. And that meant pressure. Kennedy wanted real answers, not vague promises. He wanted regular inspection of the Dimona site. He wanted the United States to be able to verify what was happening there. Because in Kennedy's mind, this was not just about trust. This was about proof. And that is a big difference. Trust can be manipulated. Proof is harder to fake. So when people ask why JFK tried to stop Israel's nuclear program, the answer begins here. Because he believed the consequences could be enormous. He believed nuclear proliferation in the Middle East could destabilize the region, damage American interests, and create a long-term threat that would outlive his presidency. He saw danger in secrecy, he saw danger in evasiveness, and he saw danger in letting a sensitive ally move forward without real accountability. That is what makes this story so powerful. This is not the story people usually tell about JFK. This is not the polished Camelot version. This is a story about hard power, back-channel pressure, and a president who understood that nuclear questions are never small questions. Once a nation gets close to the bomb, the stakes change. Diplomacy changes, war calculations change, the future changes. And Kennedy knew it. So part one of this story is simple. JFK became concerned that Israel's nuclear project at Dimona was not just peaceful research. He believed the truth mattered, he believed inspection mattered, and he was willing to push an ally over it. By the time Kennedy was settled into the White House, concern over Israel's Dimona project was already growing. But Kennedy took the issue more seriously than many people realize. He did not want to simply accept official reassurances and move on. He wanted answers, and more importantly, he wanted verification. That put him on a collision course with Israeli leadership, especially Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion. Ben-Gurion understood the vulnerability of Israel's position in the region. He also understood the power of ambiguity. If Israel could move closer to a nuclear option without openly declaring it, that gave it leverage. Kennedy, on the other hand, saw the dangers in exactly that kind of ambiguity. That is what made this relationship so tense. Kennedy wanted proof that Israel was not moving toward nuclear weapons capability, and Israeli leadership did not want outside scrutiny to define their strategic future. That is the clash.